Dana White just announced the first Paramount UFC card for next year, where Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett will fight for the interim title at UFC 324, and the winner will get to face the champion Ilia Topuria next for the undisputed title.
Obviously, you just saw Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim title. Earlier, Topuria posted, I'm dealing with some personal problems, so I'm not gonna fight the first quarter. So the winner of Gaethje versus Paddy will be the interim title, and then they will face Topuria.
However, the fans and pros are shocked that Paddy and Gaethje will fight for the interim title, while the #1 contender Arman Tsarukyan is still waiting to get a title shot. Arman Tsarukyan will now most likely not see a UFC lightweight title fight until at least the end of 2026, because Ilia Topuria announced that he won't be fighting till spring 2026, and then he will defend his belt against either Paddy or Gaethje. So it's pretty clear that Arman won't get a title shot till late 2026 or maybe early 2027. Ilia Topuria was supposed to fight at the first Paramount UFC card, but he announced that he won't be able to defend his belt in the first quarter of the year as he is struggling with some personal problems. According to some authentic sources, he is having a divorce issue with his wife and hasn't seen his daughter for a long time due to that. So Ilia wants to resolve those issues first, and will then return with full focus to defend his belt. Ilia Topuria said, "I won't be fighting in the first quarter of next year. I'm going through a difficult moment in my personal life. I want to focus on my children and resolve this situation as soon as possible. I don't want to hold up the division. The UFC will make the matchups needed, and as soon as the matters are resolved, I'll let the UFC know I'm ready to begin my return." Famous Spanish journalist Alvaro Colmenero already confirmed this news even before Ilia Topuria's announcement, and now it's official as well, who mainly covers Topuria. Alvaro Colmenero said, "Things have changed a lot. There have been private situations, and you're going to be very surprised at what's going to happen in lightweight. I can confirm that Ilia will not fight in January. February. I doubt it a lot. If you ask me, I think Ilia will fight in spring." The fans are clearly unhappy that Arman is not fighting for the title, and they are even calling this interim title fight the worst and non-deserving fight ever. Eric Jackman also expressed disappointment over this matchup, especially when the #1 contender is already waiting for his opportunity at the belt. Eric Jackman said, "Gaethje and Pimblett are fighting for one of the most insignificant interim titles. Maybe that's redundant in recent memory. This is Gain Lewis levels, made much worse by the fact that Arman is so clearly ahead of both." Meanwhile, Alvaro Colmenero also predicted earlier that Justin would fight Paddy in a title contention bout at UFC 324. He suggests the winner would likely go on to face Ilia in the spring or summer, unless Topuria is instead matched up with Islam Makhachev at the White House or during International Fight Week, which in this scenario leaves Arman Tsarukyan on the outside for now, even though Colmenero still believes he deserves to be next based on merit. Alvaro Colmenero said, "Multiple sources have told me that the fight to be held at UFC 324 is Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje, as I also heard DC say. My opinion is that this will be the main event. My interpretation is that the winner of this fight will face Ilia in the spring-summer, unless Topuria is given the fight against Islam Makhachev at the White House or at International Fight Week. In this whole equation, Tsarukyan is out of the picture in the short term. I think he deserves to be next on merit, but that's how it could all play out." Daniel Cormier also revealed before the official announcement that the UFC is considering a Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett matchup, but he feels nothing makes more sense than Ilia Topuria facing Arman Tsarukyan. He believes a win over Justin puts Paddy in the title mix, yet he still thinks Paddy needs more time to fully develop inside the octagon, even with his recent momentum. In his eyes, Paddy is an exciting and evolving fighter, but Arman remains just as dangerous and difficult for anyone in the division. Daniel Cormier said, "I know for a fact they wanted to do Paddy versus Justin. A win over Justin, after what he's done already, would have put Paddy fighting for the belt right now. I still believe Paddy needs to continue growing in the octagon a bit because he's righted the ship and fought so well like we've never seen before. He's a different beast, he's a savage, but so is Arman Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan. Daniel Cormier was confident that Arman Tsarukyan versus Ilia Topuria is an ideal matchup, pointing to their recent confrontations as real tension and saying the fight sells itself because of how competitive it is. He believes Arman has a legitimate chance to win, but also says Ilia is capable of beating any top contender, making this a true test for both and a closely contested, exciting battle. Daniel Cormier added, "I believe Arman versus Ilia is the fight 100%. From their interactions, you can tell these guys don't like each other. Ilia said he slapped him the other day, Arman said he touched his face, and now he said he slapped him. It's easy to build a fight between these two because it already feels competitive. There's a chance Arman can win, but you also know there's not a person in the world that Ilia Topuria can't beat among these great champions. There's nothing better than going into a fight knowing both fighters are going to be challenged and have their hands full." Charles Oliveira believes Arman Tsarukyan deserves the next title shot against Ilia Topuria. He points out that Arman is currently the top-ranked contender and has earned the opportunity. Oliveira also recalls that Arman was previously scheduled for a title fight but had to withdraw due to injury, reinforcing that he is the rightful choice for the next matchup.
Quem que você imaginaria que seria uma luta interessante e que causaria talvez uma dificuldade pro Topuria?
Cara, não vou te falar nem de dificuldade, nem interessante. Eu acho que o cara que merece isso é o Arman, o número 1 do ranking, então o Arman merece essa luta. Sabe, tá esperando ali, ele luta pelo título, teve lesão, saiu, então acho que é o Arman.
Khabib Nurmagomedov also thinks Arman Tsarukyan is a clear favorite over Ilia Topuria, pointing to his more complete MMA skill set. He highlights Arman's ability to blend striking with strong wrestling, control the fight on the ground, and use effective elbows as key advantages. Khabib also notes Arman's size and physical presence, saying he is naturally bigger and will likely be heavier on fight night, which gives him the edge in this matchup.
Давай предположим, что все случилось, Tsarukyan с Топурией дерутся. Ты кого видишь в этом поединке? Наверняка этот бой ты себе представлял. Ты кого видишь фаворитом в этом бою?
Я не вижу шансов у Топури.
То есть ты считаешь, что Арман нападает, да?
Тоже не дает. Арман слишком дистанционно дерется. С ударниками держит дистанцию хорошо, ногами лучше работает. И сейчас уже Арман слишком хорошо. У него есть материал, который он может посмотреть и хорошо изучить. Если 3 боя назад, если он с ним дрался, может, он не так опасался. Но сейчас уже видно то, чего можно опасаться от Топури. Я считаю, что в данный момент лучший боец в легком весе это Топури. Без Ислама Махачева.
Ты про Tsarukyan.
Да, я про Tsarukyan.
On the other hand, Islam Makhachev has become the welterweight champion, and the debate is building over who he should fight next. Shavkat is the top contender at 170, but Islam believes he does not deserve the next title shot because he has been out for over a year with injuries, and says a real contender cannot sit that long and still be first in line.
Что вчера вы здоровались Шавкатом Рахмоновым, удалось о чем-нибудь поговорить, и что ты скажешь по поводу его заявления о том, что он самая главная угроза в 77?
Ну, во-первых, ему надо вернуться, он уже больше года не дрался. Претендент не может год отстаивать с травмами и прийти и драться за пояс. Да, мы поздоровались, он меня поздравил, пожали просто руку. Ну, если он восстановится и UFC решит, что он следующий, почему бы и нет.
Shavkat Rakhmonov responded to Islam's remarks, suggesting that while Islam may be seeking an easier matchup, Shavkat sees himself as the toughest and most challenging opponent in the division. He points to his current ranking as proof and says he has the confidence to defeat anyone at welterweight. At the same time, he emphasized that he will respect whatever the UFC decides and trusts that Islam would accept the fight if offered, adding that he won't waste the opportunity if he is chosen next.
Yeah, maybe Islam looking for more suitable, more convenient opponent for him. I believe I'm the most inconvenient, hardest fight for him in the division. I'm undefeated for a reason. I believe I can beat anyone in the division. But as Islam said, you know, whatever UFC decides, and I believe he's gonna accept the fight. So if UFC is gonna decide I'm next, I also am not gonna miss this opportunity. I'm gonna take this fight.
On the other hand, Kenny Florian believes the fighters with the best chance of challenging Islam Makhachev are Kamaru Usman and Shavkat Rakhmonov, since they could at least slow him down and defend against his takedowns. However, Florian points out that if someone could truly stop Islam, it might be Ian Gary. He highlights Gary's size at 6 feet 3 inches, his striking ability, athleticism and speed, noting that his speed advantage was very noticeable in his recent fight. According to Florian, Gary's combination of reach, striking, and agility could make him a legitimate threat to catch Makhachev.
I think Shavkat would be an interesting test because
Kamaru
Usman. Yeah, well, you're mentioning the
Shavkat.
guys who can wrestle. Those are the two guys that can wrestle. Usman and Shavkat are the two guys who have that wrestling pedigree, which could slow down at the very least someone like Islam Makhachev. Maybe stop a lot of those takedowns as well. So I think that's interesting. However, if you're looking for a guy who could potentially stop Islam Makhachev, I think Ian Gary might be that guy. I really do. I think being 6'3" with that kind of striking, with that kind of athleticism and speed. I mean, the speed advantage against Bilal was very, very apparent the other night. And I think if he's looking to try to catch him, if you're looking for someone to maybe catch Islam Makhachev, it'd be someone like Ian Gary, I think, with that striking.
John Anik believes Kamaru Usman would be the most likely fighter to challenge Islam Makhachev effectively. He points out Usman's ability to control the fight's pace, manage the action, and avoid mistakes, making him a strong candidate to neutralize Makhachev's strengths.
Who would I send in there? I think a lot of people would say Shavkat Rakhmonov. It's a good poll question. I'm going to give you an answer in 5 seconds. So, there is some protest inclination, right? Especially if he sucks down a heater in the back. But I guess I would probably say Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
Just for his ability to maybe suck the air out of the fight and not make mistakes. Anyway.
Shavkat Rakhmonov wants to test Islam Makhachev directly to determine whether his dominance was genuine or if Jack Della Maddalena simply underperformed. While he acknowledges Islam's impressive showing, Shavkat insists he needs to experience it firsthand to see whose skill truly stood out. Calling himself a universal fighter, he believes he can pose real challenges for Islam and is eager to see how the matchup unfolds.
Were you surprised at how dominant Islam looked in his 170-pound debut against JDM a couple of weekends ago?
Yeah, I believe Islam had a great performance, but I also want to find out for myself, is it JDM had such a bad performance, or Islam had such a good performance? I believe I'm a universal fighter. I can make it hard for him everywhere. So yeah, I just want to find out for myself what's going to happen.
Meanwhile, Ian Gary thinks Shavkat Rakhmonov needs to get back in action before deserving a title shot. He points out that Shavkat has been injured and hasn't competed, while others are racking up big wins against top opponents. From Gary's perspective, Shavkat is only trying to stay relevant by making appearances and talking about a comeback, but until he actually fights again, he isn't part of the true title conversation.
So when you've got someone like me who had a very, very tough and close fight with that man, he won the opportunity to fight for the title. And due to the fight with me, he has been out injured and has not been able to be active. Whilst I've racked up a win against the current number 5 in the world and the number 1 in the world in Bilal Muhammad. So with all due respect to Shavkat, and I have nothing but respect for him, let's talk about him when he's actually back, because he's not right now. So in my mind, he's just trying to maintain relevancy by showing up at these fights and being in the picture and saying he's going to be back, but he's not back. I'm here and I'm ready.
So that's all we have from today's video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Share your thoughts about it in the comment section and subscribe to our channel to get more updates about the latest UFC content.